But anyway, she's an outstanding lady, and we'll enjoy working with her. Great group of folks here tonight. It's always a privilege to be able to come and speak. I'm kind of in the same mode that the senator is, and that is nobody's brought a agenda from the House. We meet with the caucus on a regular basis. Sometimes they get down to coffee, and that bothers me a little bit because I don't drink coffee. But anyway, it's one of those things where most of us are working on committee assignments. I've had a number of committees. I'm on 2 committees, and both of them involve pensions. I don't know if anybody in this room is interested in pensions. But if you're a state employee, if you're a retired teacher, this last session was pretty good for you. It's the first time in 20 years we were able to get the actuarial soundness of the ERS, the state employee system, together. And the teacher retirement system is in good shape, but just like everybody else, we've got problems with the cost of health care. And every time we try to do something about that, we run up against some kind of deal called the Unaffordable Health Care Act or the Obamacare or something like that. Anyway, that's a big challenge that we will have and we'll be looking at, and we did an interim study on that. Senator Huffman and I were chairs of that, and it's one of those things that you just always have some suggestions and you know what you want to do and how you want to get there, but we do run against that stone wall called the federal government. But I believe we'll be able to do something on that. The other thing, I'm chairman of the Pensions Committee, and it's kind of been interesting to look at all of the things that are happening there. Our firefighters, our police officers, municipal employees, the big cities, their retirements are in a ditch. And it's kind of interesting when I have a hearing, the first thing they always tell me is that we need $1.8 billion to bring us up to date. So, well, you won't be getting it from the state. You might need to make some changes of what your system is. So that's something that we've been working on, and it's it's not just in the public sector; it's also in the private sector. Those are big issues, and they will be an issue when we come before us. As far as looking at some of the other things, I serve on the Sunset Commission. The big issue right now that I think has taken a lot of our time, and that's the Railroad Commission. It seems like our friends in Austin, they really would like the Railroad Commission to be kind of like the EPA. It's not going to happen, folks. We're not going to do that. I don't know that the Senator and I have talked about it, but I think I know enough about him and his record, his philosophy, that you're not going to be trying to put the Railroad Commission in the EPA seat. So anyway, that'll be a big challenge, and we're continuing to work on that. Also with the Sunset Commission, we have really a big number of issues. TxDOT is one of the issues we'll be looking at, and it seems like every time I turn around, we have issues with TxDOT, and it's very difficult to get anything done. It's one of those agencies it's almost like, and I hope there's nobody here from Dallas, I really don't care if you are, but the bottom line is Dallas Independent School District is way too big and they're never going to solve their problem. And I think that TxDOT might be the same thing. It's just way too big and trying to solve the problems. We're going to have to look into that. Anyway, that'll be an issue we're going to be looking at. Many of the medical issues have been out there, the dental board and some of the medical boards and a lot of things. We're looking at those in the Sunset Commission too. Thinking about putting them all together. I don't know if we have the votes to do that yet or not. Water, a lot of the water issues of the Sulphur Bluff, which is the one that affects our district. We've been able to make some changes, and I think that the people in Hopkins County will be real pleased that we're being able to do some things there. The veterinarian board is going to be one that we're going to be coming up with that we're going to have to look at. And Wayne, you may be interested in coming down and looking at some of the issues that are going to come before that, because you will not believe some of the proposals. But anyway, that'll be one we're looking at. And then I guess one of the things that concerns every one of us, and you touched on it, and that's the dads or the mental health. We just have a major problem in there. We've got too many people that are in prison that need to be in some kind of a mental institution. We've got kids that are being abused. And Judge, I sympathize with you. My wife is a CASA volunteer, and I tell you what, she'll come home almost crying many times because of some of the challenges they're facing. Anyway, that's one of the agencies that are being considered for sunset. It's kind of interesting. I was talking to the governor about it, and I was talking about another issue, and I mentioned this to him and my concern, because it seemed like the agency here again, we did a lot of consolidation, and we got an agency so big that, and he says to me, he says, well, Dan, you know, that agency handles from CPS to raw milk. That means it's an agency that's way too big and looking at too many different things. So those are things that we'll be looking at with the Sunset Commission. Hopefully we'll be able to make some changes that will be good. That's the dad's deal, they call it. One of the issues that really concerns me. As far as a priority, I have said all along from the very beginning, as we started looking at this session, the American law and American courts. I think it's one of the biggest issues that should be of concern to everybody in this country. When we first started working on this, had a lot of problems with a lot of the attorneys there in Austin. They said, oh, we can adequately take care of it. Well, we can't, because we haven't, and you do have cases being settled with Sharia law. Of course, what they tell me, oh, well, you know, they want to do that. I said, you know, how do you say that they want to do it?
Is that in Irving, Texas? No. That's where the Sharia is.
It's all over the United States of America.
I'm talking about Texas.
In Texas, we have other issues here. The mayor of Irving did a great job at work. She's been really persecuted for taking her stand on it. We've had a lot of conversation with her. And here's the issue. And I really I hate to get in it like this, particularly with a camera, because they use it against me if I bring it up as a religious item. It's not a religious item. It's American law on American soil, and that's what we have to do. Because it's not just Islamic culture that's coming in here. We have many cultures that are coming in here. That's why it has to be American. You know, English common law has been pretty good for this country. You know, all we've done is have the greatest country in the whole world, and it's because we've understood the rule of law. But anyway, that's going to be a big priority that I'm going to be. We had the session last session. We had it out, and we did pretty good until you know, it's the tragedy of legislation is always that everybody wants the whole thing. Well, you know, even our new quarterback at the Dallas Cowboys can't score every time. You don't get to score every time. And I've said many times over the years that legislative victories are won an inch at a time, and we need to move this ball. And so we're going to work very difficultly, or very hard on making that happen. Other issues, I mentioned pensions. That's going to be a big issue for us. One of the things, a Second Amendment deal. Any firefighters here? One, two. Buzz, you still fighting fires? Okay, good. Well, you'll like this. Anyway, that's one of the issues that has been of a concern to me. And you know, you look and you see what's happening when these first responders go. And of course, we've already seen that our law enforcement police officers get shot in the back, or they get shot, and they get to a scene, and you know, you never know what's going to happen there. Firefighters don't have any way to protect themselves if it happens. And they've come to me, their associations have come to me, they want, and they've worked with the NRA and the TSRA about having the privilege of being able to exercise their concealed carry license. They can't do it right now, but we're gonna work with them so they can do that. I think that would be something that would make some of them, if they have a concealed carry license and they want to carry, they should be able to protect themselves. The issue of budget, it's always, you know, that's the only thing that the legislature is required to do, and that's pass a balanced budget. It seems like that's the only thing that doesn't get a whole lot of attention unless we raise taxes, or unless some issue comes up that's just creates a problem where we have a big shortfall. I know my first session we had that $10 billion shortfall, so that was a big. Kathy, you remember that? You remember what an issue that was. And then we've had a $25 billion shortfall. We've always been able to balance the budget. Great thing about Texas, we do it right. And don't always do it exactly the way I want to, but I'm kind of like the senator. You feel like you vote for it because it's what's best. We can't get what we want always, but we do need to be sure that we move that ball along. So the budget will be another big item. The good news there is the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the speaker have all said that they want to see a cut in all the agencies, which I'm 100% in favor of that because, you know, and I love our state employees, but I want to tell you, if they had to put up with some of the things that we do in private industry and had to deal with some of the issues that come out there, they wouldn't be there long. So anyway, that'll be an issue that we will be looking at, and I think we have plenty of people that are feeling the same way we do about that.